and welcome to the From the Shadows podcast. I am the producer, Jason Lewis. I would like to thank you for tuning in to the From the Shadows podcast, and without further ado, here is your host, Shane Grove.
Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the From the Shadows podcast. I'm your host, Shane Grove, and joining me tonight are Jason, the super producer.
Greetings, everyone.
We got the judge, at least for a little bit tonight.
Good evening, everyone.
And our special, very special guest tonight, joining us from sunny California, who I consider, and probably many consider, the greatest character actor working in the movies today, Tom Downey.
Well, hey now. Ain't that a hell of a build-up? You're too kind.
So Tom, how's it going out there? And I know it's not sunny right now, but what's happening out there in California?
Well, I've been, aside from doing all these, as many movies as I can possibly get on set for, I work, I do art department for a bunch of different TV shows. And one of the last ones I was working on, we were putting together the stage for this. Some of you might remember called Card Sharks. It's a reboot of an old game show from the '80s, right?
Was that Chuck Woolery? Chuck
was in there, and they had another guy. There were a couple of guys. All those old faces you remember from the past. But the same producer, this woman, Janine, I think is her name, or Jean. She rebooted it. Joel McHale is the host, and we just went back to shoot some more episodes. The whole stage was loaded in. We had just loaded in our stuff. I was doing props, so I got to shuffle all the cards. So when people lose or win, that's my fault, and I can't tell you how much joy it gave me to see some people lose because I didn't like them. But yeah, it was. Well, there's one guy you'll see. There's one guy came on the show and he's talking about his wife and his kids, and he goes, "Yeah, I also have another baby, my Harley." And it's just something about being on that open road, it's nothing like it. And he basically blew off the fact that he did, he liked his hog better than he liked his wife and kids. I was like, I hope this sumbitch loses, and he did. So anyway, I was working on that show. We got shut down. All the studios went down like dominoes with this crazy coronavirus, COVID-19. We got word maybe we're going to try and push through and knock out 10 days in a row and knock out this thing without an audience. All live studio audiences are all gone. And within 24 hours, it went from we'll be finishing this up by next Friday to you're not coming back Monday. And if you want to kit your tools, we'll call you. So everything shut down here and got buttoned up real quick out here in the film industry. And it's been kind of, it spun my head for a minute. But we're just marching forward, and we'll get through this. As soon as we're able to go back to work, we will.
Wow! Right. Yeah, it's definitely some crazy times. I mean, if you'd asked me, in our lifetime, if we'd ever been going through a pandemic like this that just basically shut down the country, I'd have said we'd have discovered better evidence of Bigfoot.
Exactly.
Then this would happen. I mean, this is, I just can't wrap my head around it, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys think we would have landed on Mars before this would have happened to us, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't on my timeline. I don't think it was on any of ours,
Exactly.
Didn't see this one coming.
Exactly. So, for our listeners who may not be familiar with your work, shame on you. But Tom, you want to give us a little of your background? Because hey, I know you're an East Coast guy.
Sure.
I spent some time out south of Boston, living and working, and so I'm envious of the fact that you get to go back there and call home for a little bit. So I see your post on the Cape, and I'm like, gosh, dang him.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I have a big family, and one of my sisters has a house down on the Cape, so I'm able to get the best of Boston and Cape Cod every time I go back. So, good times are had by all when I'm home, for sure. Shout out to the family. Love you all. Stay safe. Stay cozy. And wash your hands. But But yeah, if you don't know the films that I've done, and you do know of a company called The Asylum, and everybody knows them now because after I walked away from working with them, they started making Sharknado movies. I think they're up to Sharknado 22 now. I don't know how many they have, but I had quit the industry for a minute when my kids were small, just and about 4 years out of it, and then I got back into it after being Mr. Mom for a little bit, and joined up with The Asylum and started driving their trucks, building their sets, helping out with special effects, and I was the star of about 8 or 10 of their movies, and I did about 14 with them. So some ensemble casts, like the fantastic folks I work with in The Beast of Bray Road. It's a werewolf picture. We called it Jaws with paws. Basically, it is Jaws, but it's a werewolf. No spoilers there.
No, wait a second. Judge, are you still with us?
Oh, the judge is here.
Do you want to talk to Mr. Downey here about what the Beast of Bray Road really is?
Well, for those of you that who've been followers of ours, one of the things that inspired me to get into the whole cryptid realm was when I was about 15, 16 years old. I had an experience that, I've told my story on here and people know it, where I was stalked, paced, chased, however you want to describe it, by what is now contemporaneously known as a dog man, which is Beast of Bray Road is,
right on.
Basically, a dog man situation. So, having first-hand experience one of these creatures, it's a life-changing event. Obviously, it inspired a book. It inspired a movie up there in Wisconsin. So tell us a little bit about your background with the subject matter. And, you get asked to be in this movie.
Well, we were working. There were a bunch of us. We all worked at a bar together, and then a couple of the guys had done like 2 or 3 movies with The Asylum, and then they were trying to pull in. They got some funding, so we were going to do some mockbusters. Just have these takeoffs on big blockbusters that came out. Like War of the Worlds came out in the theaters. War of the Worlds came out at Blockbuster, but that was ours. They had Tom Cruise. We had C. Thomas Howell, right? So they said, okay, great. We're going to do some of these big blockbuster nonsense things. Then you tell us what little films you want to do for like $75,000 to $90,000, all original stuff. And my friend Lee Scott, director and writer, is from Wisconsin, and he happened to be a big fan of cryptids and knew about the lore behind the Beast of Bray Road, the Dog Man, and so he said, you're going to dig this and check out this book. And so he gave me the book because I was playing the cryptozoologist. He's like, this is all this stuff like Ripley's Believe It or Not kind of stuff, but it's more than that. This is like real shit. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, let's do it. I can't certain swear, sorry. I was so jazzed that there was somebody else who was so into this stuff, and we were actually going to do our own thing and put our own slant on some of these stories and really present the lore as what would they say, canon? Like, this is the truth, kids. Yeah. This is what's up. So sure. So that's where it came from. The writer director was from Wisconsin, and he had firsthand knowledge of people telling him about their sightings and creepy feelings in the woods and whatnot. So it came from the heart when we made that film. We weren't just like, oh, we'll pretend. No, we believe what we were doing.
Now you guys didn't go to Wisconsin to do any of the filming or anything, did you? I mean, was that all in California?
Not on that one. We did all that in Topanga Canyon and the hills around Los Angeles, and we did it at my good friend Tony Snegoff, who's a stuntman. He has a ranch out there. Tony does big and small films, and he's a really good friend to the independent film community. He's always been there to help us out. So shout out to Tony Snegoff.
So doing a little bit of the research for that movie, yay or nay? I mean, what's your take? Do you have any opinion on the validity of the story, or You know, what do you think? I mean, because you gotta. I mean, you have to. I mean, from your body of work that we'll go through. I mean, you've done some really creepy, scary stuff. So, like, how does this stuff affect you as you're like getting prepared for it?
Well, I know there's some things that can't be explained and have to be experienced. And I know that I have not been lucky enough to be in the presence of a dogman, but I don't rule it out. And I know for a fact that I have been in the presence of spirits from another dimension, whatever you want to call it. I grew up in a haunted house. I moved into another haunted house. And my sister's house on Cape Cod is haunted. And one of the only people that the entity, it's a woman, one of the only people she speaks to is me. And she calls out my name. And,
oh, wow.
It happens to me.
Oh, man. So,
and it's my sister's been there for 16 years, I think. And I was just there this past summer. And my sister we were down there. My sister had kind of tweaked her back out a little bit. So we hung out for an extra day or two. And I was on her front stoop on the phone. And I heard in my sister's voice, called out very loudly from the top of the stairs, "Tommy." And I was like, "Hold up, I'll be right up." And I went in the house and I went up the stairs and she wasn't there. And I couldn't believe she was out of bed because she had hurt her back and was kind of laid up there. And I went to her room. I said, "What's up?" She said, "I'm good. How are you doing?" I said, "I'm good. You didn't just call me?" And she said, "No." I said, "You didn't just call my name." And and right now the hair on my arms is standing up, telling you this again. I said, "You didn't just call me?" She said, "No." And I said, "Okay, well, she just called me again." And she said, "Oh, you're kidding." Because she's like, "Why didn't you talk to me?" She's like, "It's my house. She doesn't talk to me." I said, "I don't know. Maybe she's a fan of my movies, Nancy. What can I tell you?" So,
there you go.
So I do believe that there are things that cannot be explained, but should most definitely be investigated. And there's nothing that I dismiss out of hand. I'll tell you that.
One point of clarification, though, to what he said. He said he hadn't been lucky enough to experience a dogman. Trust me, there's nothing lucky about that. And it's one of the things, I don't feel good fortune for having experienced it.
Right. I believe you.
Holy moly. So yeah, I mean, the Beast of Bray Road, that's one of the movies I checked out quite a while ago, just because we got into this and knowing that we wanted to have you on the show. I had checked it out and I thought, man, this is kind of cool, that somebody took that subject matter and it's pretty scary little movie.
Yeah, it's fun. We had some good little scares in it, and it was fun. And we like to always, the guys that I work with, the actors, are really funny guys. So we always try and put a little bit of humor in it to kind of, break up the fact that we're trying to beat you over the head with something that you might not believe. So we try to keep it light, but keep it scary and keep it fun. And that goes for Frankenstein Reborn, which was pretty much lifted from the pages of Mary Shelley's book. And Dracula's Curse, which I used to call Dracula's Worst, but it wasn't. It was an overly ambitious vampire hunter movie that should have been a trilogy, but we crammed it all into one. But yeah, we touched on everything. Zombies. I played an exorcist in one of the films, and yeah, man, there was nothing we didn't screw around with there.
I think that if Grover, am I correct? Is Beast of Bray Road still on Amazon Prime?
That's where I watched it. Yeah.
Yep, it's still available. And a couple of months ago, there were like 6 of those out there. So I don't know what the Asylum's doing, but they should revisit their fan base from about 15 years ago. They'd be surprised who tunes in.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Well, there's certain topic areas that have a following, that if you put a werewolf movie out there, you have certain people that's going to watch it no matter what.
Sure.
Same with certain things. There's the zombie genre. There's a lot of them out there, but people go through and watch them no matter what. So yeah, it's a good topic. Yeah, it'd be especially one to be revisited.
Yeah, it's definitely time. I know just a few months ago, I had a friend tell me that they had a script that they wanted help finding an effects person to do a werewolf suit. And I said, well, I got my buddy Danny Russo. I said he made this great suit, and it was all practical and a lot of fun. He said, "Oh, that'd be so great." And I said, "You're really making a werewolf movie?" And so I'm going to check back with him now once the dust settles and the air clears and all that kind of good stuff, and we all take our masks off. I'll find out where that project's at. It was just great to hear that somebody else hadn't heard of a vampire, or rather, it's vampires and werewolves fighting, kind of like the Underworld series. Ooh. But it was heavy on the werewolf side. The werewolves were the heroes. So I said, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm really a big fan of the werewolf genre, in which they have a real suit. They put somebody in a suit versus the CGI stuff. I think the retro feel. You know, you harken back to like Stephen King's Silver Bullet back in the '80s when I was a kid, and it was cool that there was a real person in the suit. I dig those movies. Chris Hahn's buddy House was in a werewolf movie called Late Phase, and he wore a suit. It was fantastic. So I really hope that people go back to that type of filmmaking versus the CGI.
Yes, I mean Chris was great in Axe Giant as Bunyan, and he's a big dude, and he really just had the right, it's a look in the eye. And even when my friend Joe Hebner, who was our werewolf, he would sit, and he's about 6'5" anyway, right? You take the mask off, he looks like Audrey Hepburn. He's awfully pretty, but he's a big muscly, good looking dude. He's in this full on. He had the ski boot shoes, so you had the dog leg he's up there. So now he's 7 feet tall, and he would sit in his chair and he would listen to speed metal and just growl and grunt and start salivating and get ready to that's how he got into character. And if you went over and like fuck with them, because I would like to do that, and I'm sorry if I'm not meant to swear, but I would go over and I just go up and I'd be like, I go snap, and I go, here boy, and he goes, yeah, he's ready. Joe was all about it.
Now I know why the ghost calls your name, because you get out there and she's like, you know what? He screws with everybody else all the time.
There you go.
I'm gonna screw with him.
That's probably. I'm asking for it. I swear.
And I was looking through the list of movies then as we went along. The Paranormal Incident, like there's two of those that you were a part of, right?
Yeah. I went in and I did the end scene of one. I just go in and have one line, and I tell them to torch the place that we just did an investigation and to burn all the evidence. Basically, say burn it and walk away. And my friend Keith Compton's in there with me in that one, and they said, we need you to come in and play like the director, like the smoking man from X-Files.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It'll be so cool. And I went in, I'm like, okay, where's the script? Like, we haven't got one. We just need to get in there and you do something. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So Keith and I said, what? I said, Keith, what do you say? And Keith had, he's a professional. He had his lines down. He goes, I explained to you all this stuff that just went down, and then they want you to do something. And I said, okay. And I said, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take out a cigarette. I'm going to light it. I'm going to drop the match and say, burn it. And I'm going to turn around and leave. And he's like, that's genius. And they all loved it. So that was that one. And then they did a paranormal, or a 616. The second part to that was we had another haunting, and we had to go find out what was up. And I got to work with, again, my good friends in that. My friend Eve Morrow, who, if you look her up, she's a very busy actress, and she's tough as nails and funny as hell. And she's a badass. And she played basically the devil incarnate in that, and killed all my people in the film. So that was fun. So that was another one of those ones that we did. I produced that one with my buddies, and we did that for $50,000. And,
wow.
In 9 days. And I was working at Wipeout for ABC, the contestant game show at the time during the day, and then I'd go and shoot that at night. So I slept about 3 hours a night for a week and a half, and we shot that thing and got it done.
Wow. Well, I saw like a trailer for that, for one of those on when I was reading about it. I mean, that thing, the second one, the 616, looks super spooky. Like, I mean, obviously you want it to. So when you're filming,
we shot in Loma Linda. Do you know that hospital? Do you know that hospital in Los Angeles?
No, I don't.
It's got a history. It's haunted as well.
Okay.
You don't feel good anywhere in that building, whether it's day or night. There's an impending sense of doom and dread and sorrow throughout the entire place.
So does that go into making the movie? I mean, does that help or does that hinder? I mean,
the only thing it did was make sure that nobody wandered off.
I can imagine that.
You know what? Nobody wanted to be going anywhere by themselves at night in that building. None of the crew went missing ever. Everybody was either in the room with you or in the room next to you. Yeah. That place was it was creep sauce spread all over the place.
Now we asked Gary this when we had him and Chris on talking about Death Block 13. If he caught anything on camera or on audio in the prison while we were there filming, did you catch anything while you guys were filming that maybe you didn't expect?
You know what? If they did, they never shared it with me because I wasn't in the editing bay. I know that people were constantly just feeling like they needed to get outside the building at night. People, if they didn't smoke, they'd go take a smoke break. You know what I mean? They just felt like they had to leave. And it was kind of wild, but I would love to actually go back and scrub that footage and see if we have any orbs or anything that's out of the ordinary going on there. Or any shadow people, because that's what we were actually going to, if we had more money to put into it, we were going to have some of those shadow people kind of just like coming out of absolutely nowhere and making things happen that we ended up doing more practically. But we wanted to bolster that with some shadow people. But I think they were there anyway.
Holy moly.
Wow. Yeah, that'd be freaky.
Yeah. Now, before we go any further, I just got a message on my phone regarding to the Facebook post you put on from a mutual friend of ours, Tim Lovelace.
Hey, Tim, my buddy.
So we need to absolutely make fun of Tim right now.
Okay.
Just bag on him about something. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, listen, I don't know, man. If you haven't seen the award that he got for Mosquito, film he did, I think it was 80 years ago.
Yes.
He hasn't seen it either. So, yeah, just everybody take a good hard look for that. Maybe it fell behind the couch at your house. Tim hasn't seen any of the acting awards that he's gotten over the years, and he blames me. I told him I work with Hilary Swank. She got 2 Oscars, and they told me mine's in the mail.
That's fair. Hey, fair enough. Tim worked with me, and I'm sure that he probably will not get an award for that either. So,
but we had fun doing it, didn't we?
Exactly. So hopefully he will. I know he listens to us religiously, so hopefully he'll be like squirming, like, "Oh, those guys! I wish I could put them in their place right now." But
well, hopefully he and I will be able to work together again at some point. And I enjoy working with that guy. He's a lot of fun, man.
Yes,
I had a good time doing it.
He and I are in touch all the time, and we enjoy poking each other on political matters and
sure,
and other stuff. He has some good crypto stories too. He's up there in Michigan where there's also a lot of dogman sightings
he's out there
too.
Out there in the sticks, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's because he's not allowed within 100 yards of schools or churches, so he has to live out there.
Probably best for him to stay out that way. Then. Oh man, sorry.
All right, so let's get back. So the other thing. So now, what I thought was I had to double check, but I saw that you were in a series of movies, the Sorority Party Massacres. Now, was it?
It was one. We did one, and we then talked to Roger Corman back in the day, because that's almost 10 years old, that film. But Roger Corman wanted to come in and make. It was going to be Bachelorette Party Massacre, and move on from there. But Sorority Party Massacre was something I did with my friend Chris Freeman, who wrote that, and Keith Compton was in it as well. Eve Morrow, my friend Amanda Barton was in it, and that it is what it sounds like, but it's not, because it's not just gratuitous, boobs and college sex, but it takes place at a sorority party, and there is a massacre. So it's fun. It's a fun movie. It's very much an '80s homage type deal. Ed Ross plays the bumbling sheriff in town. He's a great character actor. If you're a fan of '80s action movies, he was playing a heavy in a lot of them, with Schwarzenegger and Mel Gibson and all that. And then there's Ed Ross, who's always playing the bad guy. He was also he was in Dick Tracy as well. So he had a hell of a career, but he's done 4 films with me. He's a great character actor as well. I hope I can keep working as long as my friend Ed.
Well, what I wanted to see is so there's a couple movies then where you are Detective William Watts. They're all by the Freeman guy, right?
Chris Freeman. Chris Freeman, who is an Ohio native, and I'll tell you a quick story of how we met, or a long story. I don't know how much time you have, but
no, we got plenty of time.
Okay, well, I'll tell you.
Where else we going?
I can't. Exactly. Ain't nobody going nowhere. Now you can't leave. See. Okay, so I had a friend, my dear friend Joey DePinto, who's no longer with us. God rest his soul. He was a character. He was kind of one of those guys you'd see as an extra on The Sopranos. You're wearing a tracksuit, and he dyed his goatee to hide his grades and all that. He's just a middle-aged con man from way back, but really a heart of gold and a lot of fun. He's a great friend of mine. He got an idea that he could put some money together, and he said, I want to make one of those movies, like the ones you make over at the asylum, but not a piece of shit. I said, thanks, Joe. I guess we could do that. He's like, you know what I mean. He goes, no. I want to make something good, And I'm like, oh, okay, so you're sure my movies are? Okay, cool. So I said, listen, I'll find a script or a writer, and I know how to do this. You keep your cast to under 12 people, your locations to under 3, and you keep your effects practical, and you make it easy on yourself. So I said, I know how to do this, Joe. Don't worry about it. And I got in touch with my friend Justin Jones, who put me in touch with this person, Chris Freeman, who I had never met. He said, I have this script, and check it out and see if Joey wants to do it. So I read the script, and the script was fantastic, and it was everything we needed. And so I told Joe about it, and he said, oh, yeah, that sounds great, but what we should do is this. And he took basically the skeleton of the script and stripped it down and then redressed it to what he wanted to throw into the film, which basically threw out like all the good stuff that was happening in my friend Chris Freeman's original script. So I respected my this writer who I'd never met enough to say, yeah, let me get back to the writer, and I'll let you know what he says. And I didn't get back to Chris because I thought he'd be insulted. So I just called Joe the next day and I said the writer's going to pass. And he said, what the fuck is his problem? Doesn't he want his movie made? And I said, yeah, he wants his movie made, not yours. So he said, well, to hell. He said, to hell with him. We'll get somebody else. I said, don't worry. I have the perfect guy. So what I did was go back to Chris and say, why don't you hold on to your script, because Joey wanted to change it a little too much. Can we just write some things specific to some locations I know we already have, and then the kind of genre that I know we can sell? So I did get him another writer. Turns out it was the exact same writer. And Chris wrote Mirror Image, which now I think is called Dark Image. That's available out there on Amazon or somewhere in the dark web. And that's how Chris and I met. I loved his writing so much that I wouldn't dare change a word of this really great script that he had, Intruder, back in the day. And then we ended up making this thing called Mirror Image. And we shot in Laguna at a mansion on the hill and a restaurant, and then out on the streets, and just kept it real simple. And it worked. And it was the first thing I produced and starred in as Detective William Watts. And that's how it all began. And then the guys, we had such a hard time dealing with our executive producer, my friend Joey, who would come in and sit down in the middle of the set like, you know, like he was the emperor, and we're trying to get work done. He just loved it so much. He was like a little kid in the candy store having his movie made. And it was such a hard grind to get through that the guy said, well, next time we do this, we're going to put Detective Watts in a sorority house with a bunch of naked girls. And I said, please, let's do that. And then Sorority Party Massacre was born. So that's how that one worked out.
You know,
now you know.
How do I get a guy in a tracksuit to show up with a bunch of money wanting to make one of my scripts, even if he wants to gut it and change.
You know what? I'll to quote the judge, I'll say, careful what you wish for. Yeah, it was tough. It was pulling teeth, blood from a stone. The movie got done, and some people got their noses out of joint over it, but we got through it. Oh man, yeah, it's tough. It's tough making these little films. I mean, we have people paid back and have to restructure deals, and I'll be lucky if I see, you know, a dime from any of these movies. That's going to be worth the effort that I put in. I'll tell you that. It's a little bit of a grind, but I love it, so I just do it anyway.
Well, that's the double-edged sword. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that people do not realize if you've never been on a movie set or seen anybody, you know, doing some of the writing, running to go get lunch, you know, holding the microphone for sound, or just everything that goes into it.
Yeah,
and the people,
talking to the neighbors, talking to the cops.
Yeah, and it's just, but it's such a labor of love, you know, like, and that's what we loved being around Gary, because Gary just loves making movies, and he's so passionate about it, and but it's hard. I know it's hard. He's told us enough, you know. We've seen his struggles, and I can't imagine, you know, work. I mean, because I know what Gary's doing. He's working 2 jobs to try to get his movie out, and you're doing the same. You know, you're just like you said, you've got 3 hours of sleep, and you do it because you love it. You know, not everybody makes the big bucks and lives a life of luxury, you know, or whatever they want to portray it as. I know very few people who actually are able to just go ahead and make movies or act on TV shows, and the ones that are doing it, they've been working for a long time at it. So, you know, you gotta persevere, and then if you get lucky, then you might get a little bit of a break, and you can just focus on your career and not have to, you know, serve 2 or 3 or 5 masters. You know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So what? You know, one of the other movies, besides the Paul Bunyan movie, one of the other movies I checked out and kind of dug was Dolls. Just because I knew, you know, Jeff Miller and Justin and those guys that were all kind of part of that. I think Justin wrote the movie.
Justin wrote it. Justin Hawkins, and Jeff Miller produced, and we had a real small crew, so he was helping out. We were meant to have a couple of more people on the art department. They bailed out. I was supposed to be helping the art department, and I became the art department because we didn't have anybody. That was another all hands on deck shot in 10 days. And I won't disclose the dollar amount they spent on it, but you can tell it wasn't as much as some other movies. But we all put our heart into it, and everybody was great, man. That was really cool, because Jeff had asked me, "Are you able to do this thing in December?" And I had one of my paying gigs that paid 3 times as much to go and move stuff on set and not be on camera. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I can't. And then that show actually got canceled, and I had nothing for the month of December. So, you know, Up in Smoke Goes Christmas. So I called Jeff. I said, yeah, remember that movie you were talking about? Yeah, I'll do that. What's up? Yeah. How can we make this worth my while, and what can I do to help you? Because I'm all about acting, but I know you're going to be hard pressed for folks on this. So I ended up doing. We had the director, the writers, and Jeff himself. We were all helping move furniture and do stuff and make sure all the props were where they were supposed to be, because I was on camera half the time, and I needed someone to have eyes in the back of my head to make sure everything was working out. But yeah, that was a crazy, hard, fast film, and I was actually able to take my sons to go to the premiere when they had one out here at this little theater out in Beverly Hills, and to have my teenage sons come in, see the movie, get to meet Dee Wallace. Yes, E.T.'s stepmom.
Yes. Yep.
And from The Howling, wonderful, wonderful. And so they got to see me interact with my friends, be really upbeat and happy, watch the film, tell me that, hey, man, your film didn't suck. And just, well, to have your teenage sons be like, that was a lot of fun, you were awesome in it, and we've never seen you like this happy at work before. So it was really great to share that with my son. So I'm indebted to Jeff Miller for having me be a part of it, because that was really fun. Anytime I get to have my kids share that much of my work with me, that's pretty cool to have a little red carpet thing. So Dolls was a win for the team. I don't care if people liked it or not. I had a good time.
Well, when I thinking back to when I sat and watched that, I'm like, when the house and, like, let's face it, the dolls are inanimate objects. When they're like characters, like they're part of what the movie's all about. It's like, it's just such a different kind of feel to it, so to speak. It's like, man, what? Because you don't know what they're going to do, because there's no rules. There's no rules for a person can do only so many things, but you take these things and put them in different situations. But when I hear you talk about knowing that that spirits exist and being in a haunted house, I almost can think that you draw from some of that stuff to bring out the emotions you need to interact with something that's not going to act back. Is that? Case at all?
Yeah, that's always. I mean, what I always, doesn't matter what the subject matter is. If I don't believe the story and really get invested in it and take it on as rote, then the audience isn't going to believe it. So as an actor, you have to believe what you're saying if you're going to sell any soap. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I read the whole story. I think about what the other characters are doing. I figure, even with those little dolls, I thought about what their motivations were. So I do my homework, and I try to make everything as real as possible, so that I don't come off looking too silly at the end of the day, because I've done a lot of silly stuff.
So what would be, I mean, now you don't want to play, it's like how, having kids, you don't want to pick a favorite. What's been your favorite movie experience so far?
Ooh, there's been,
doesn't have to be your favorite movie.
There's been
but your
favorite I did really enjoy making Sorority Party Massacre. That was the biggest budget that I had worked with to date. Producer on it, starring in it, working with a magnificent ensemble cast, and was pretty much a big part of calling shots on that as a producer. And it was some of that money was mine that I set on fire to make that film. But it was fun. That movie, I'll tell you this: there was one scene. I go in and discover one of the girls. She's got a hatchet in her head and solarium, and I follow the bloody footprints in. I find her, and we discover her with a flashlight. And as written, I was supposed to just look terrified and just start backing up like, oh, my goodness. And I said, hold on, guys, I need one more. And Steve Parker, our DP, was like, all right, Downey. I said, no, you're going to like this. And so I walk in, I let the flashlight find the girl. This is, my take. It's tight on me from the second button up. And I say, there is something seriously wrong with the sorority. And I back out. And they call cut. Everybody starts laughing, and Steve Parker goes, "Oh, do you want some wine with that cheese, Tom Downey?" I said, boys, you mark my words. That's a trailer moment. And the folks at Highland, our distributor, put together a trailer, and they chose that for the end of the trailer.
I know
how to make these movies, kids. And it's silly, but it works. I know it's ridiculous, but it works. So, just all I can say to these folks sometimes, you gotta, I know some, they think I'm just an actor, but you gotta trust me, because I actually know how to make movies.
Well, those movies are fun. I mean, it's not meant, some of those movies are meant to be scary and by the seat of your pants, but you want to be entertained.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't go to watch a movie like Sorority Party Massacre and to solve the world's problems.
Oh, exactly. It's a popcorn film. I want to take you out of the moment. Fun. Yeah, I want you to forget about everything else and just have a good time with it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the kind of movie it is.
Yeah. Exactly. What? How many movies have you done with Chris Freeman?
Ooh-wee. 5 or 6. We did a movie. I did a little cameo for them in a film called Beast Mode. That'll be coming out this year and has been kicking ass at festivals until we couldn't have festivals anymore. And then we did another film before that actually did in Ohio, so I was able to get back there again. And that was, I think it was called The Diary of an Exorcist, and they changed the name of the film to the actual demon that terrorized this real exorcist in real life. It's called the Body Bot, and it's a demon from the Philippines that if you disturb her forest lair, she will come to your house and smother you in your sleep and then steal your soul. So it's believed by the folks in the Philippines that the Body Bot exists, and she's this forest demon, and she's about 500 pounds, and she'll come sit on your face and smother you. Doesn't sound like a good way to go.
Not at all.
We did that. Think about that when you're trying to go to sleep tonight. But we did. That was the film that we shot that over a month in and around Columbus, and we met the actual exorcist who had a book about his adventures around the world, and that was meant to go to South by Southwest, and that is not going to happen. Obviously, South by Southwest got canceled, but that'll be coming out at some point, streaming soon. And so look for the Body Bot, and that was probably the hardest movie that I ever had to work on as a production designer, because we lost a location in our first week, and when you're doing these films with little to no money, you really can't flip the schedule by surprise and go, oh, sorry, we just can't do that. So we had to change our entire schedule around. I didn't really have boots on the ground to get ready for any kind of major changes like that. So I basically stayed up with Richard, the AD. We were bunking together at the same Airbnbs and hotels wherever we went. And I would stay up with him as production designer and stay up with the AD. So I knew what we were shooting in the morning. And if I needed to send anybody on a run, I knew what the hell we had to get, so I'd have something to put on camera. So that was a tough movie, and a lot of weird stuff happened on that one that made me feel like we were a little bit cursed. Nobody died.
Nobody died.
Well, it started with the change in locations, and then we had this is tough because I wanted Chris Hahn to come in and be a stuntman for us, and they went with someone a little more local. And the guy in his first take, chasing the priest, sprained his ankle so hard that he couldn't do another take after that. So we had that happen. We had a couple of days of like some crazy weather stuff happening where it wasn't in the forecast. And next thing you know, we had just thunderstorms rolling through and we couldn't be outside. They say you gotta go back in. You gotta go in now. We had a generator blow up on us. We had stuff stolen. We had the trailer catch on fire. That's right. We had a little trailer that we had, and nothing in there. Oh, it was the box truck. I think it was the box truck. Yeah, so the box truck caught on fire on us too. So it's about 6 things at least where bad things happen. And one of our one of our grips hit a deer with her car one night. So yeah, all kinds of bad stuff going down on that set. People might say, no, that's just country living, but I don't know. I don't know why things had to catch on fire or people had to get hurt that damn bad. But yeah, it was wild.
Well, I will say, and I know Jason will agree, we've had a couple ghost investigators, especially the guys from Paranormal Road, David Hensley was just on, and they said when there's a demon possession, you never speak the name of the demon. Because if you speak we
didn't. Right. And that's why we kept the name, basically kept it out of it. There was one scene where they mentioned the name of the demon, and that was it. And that's why I didn't know until later. That's why it wasn't on the call sheet.
Oh, really? So they did. So they went to lengths to not. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they say that attracts it when you speak their name.
That's an invitation, right? And we didn't want to do that. We don't want to open up any doors. And the actual priest who's retired, he gave Chris Freeman, the writer, he gave him a talisman to keep with him at all times, so that the evil spirit wouldn't attach himself to Chris, because Chris was writing down events from this person's life. So he said, keep this, and believe me, if you want to stay safe, keep this with you at all times. And Chris did. I think he still has it with him to this day. So the film had a lot of problems in post. I went back and reshot stuff, and now it's finally done. So hopefully all the bad juju will be turned into a good movie.
I don't know. Maybe we will hold this movie solely responsible for the coronavirus outbreak.
I could do that too. That'll be all right.
That'll be the advertising campaign right there. This powerful film.
That'll be all right. Yeah.
Such a powerful film that it's closed down all of the world.
Hey, shut the world down. That body box a real sumbitch, ain't it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So
yeah, that's go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so that's, when is that going to come out on? Did you say it's going to go directly to like streaming and?
Yeah, it'll be out on the Amazon. They had a deal in place. I've got to talk to the friends in Ohio again, and I think they were holding off because they wanted to go to festivals with it, and then it would be slated to be released. But now all the festivals are done. No one can have any festivals anymore. So if anything, it'll be hopefully pushed up and be coming out sooner than later. But I think their idea was to trot it out to festivals here, there, and everywhere, and then it'll be out maybe for like Halloween-y next fall. But now it might be a summer release, so that'd be even better for everybody involved.
Well, so you've been in the movie business for quite a while. I mean, what, 25, 30 years maybe?
Yeah, around about 30 years, yeah, at this point.
So,
yeah.
I mean, do you see a point where everything is just going to be streamed and, because like, the movies are closed, you can get on demand through our cable and see what's supposed to be out at the movie. Just cost a little bit extra if you want to watch it. I mean, do you see a point in time where, things might shift that way, that there's just no more movie theater experience?
I really hope not, because I think it's as much fun as going to like see live music is to go and have that shared experience in front of a giant screen. And you have that shared experience with a bunch of people. You all sit there in the dark and marvel at the story that's being played out in front of you. I think that is, it's like cave paintings back in the day. You go in the cave, you get the fire going, and the guy who does the best drawing with the ash gets up on the wall and starts making buffalo. And this is how my day went, dear. And I think that's like something that I hope never goes away.
I'm right there with you. I just wondered, from being really on the inside and more than just one aspect of the business.
Well, after all these theaters took such a huge hit, I don't know how they're going to deal with it coming back from all these theaters being shut. I hope that people will be itching to get out, and I hope that it will be safe. But I don't know how they're going to recover from that. And I don't know if some of these smaller theater chains are going to recover, but we shall see. I hope that it goes better for everybody involved. I mean, I know that, there's some of the films that I was working with, the director of Dolls, Kyle Carvin, he's done tons of TV. That was his first directorial debut, and with the limited tools that he had, I thought he made a really solid film. So I'd like to see him do something where he could have a feature released in the theaters. Same for Chris Freeman. He's a very dear friend of mine. I'd love for my friends that want to be directors, to get their name up there on the big screen before they go away. And I hope they never do, because I really think that is, a singular shared experience that everybody goes and sits in the dark and laughs and gasps and jumps at the same time. It never goes away.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, it's great to watch the movie in the comfort of your own home, put it on pause if you got to get up and, whatever. But you're right. When you're really immersed into the experience and the sounds all around you and you're in the picture, there's nothing that beats that, nothing beats that for sure.
Right.
Now I got a couple other questions. I want to put you maybe on the spot here a little bit.
All right.
If you had an unlimited budget to make a movie, what would be the movie that you would want to make? Like, because I know you're obviously a creative guy, visually and emotionally, and as far as the acting. So there's got to be a story that you really want to tell. What would you do?
We do Homer's The Odyssey.
Really?
No, we wouldn't. Well, we could. I think I'd go over budget and lose my mind. It'd be like Apocalypse Now if I tried to do that. But I do have friends. We've talked about that, and they say, "Oh, it's kind of like this." I'm like, "All right, that's ambitious as hell." There are a couple of good ideas that have been out there in the past that I wanted to get involved with. My friend had basically The Walking Dead meets Mad Max, called Zombie Patrol. Raul Contreras and Kurt Allswarder writers. That sounded like a lot of fun to do, and it's already kind of been done to death. But if you marry these two scripts together, it's interesting because you've got the hero that goes on the journey. It's not just about slashing through a bunch of zombies. There's some place I'd like to take Detective Watts, where he hasn't been before, and kind of have him be all the way fallen hero and redeemed. And that was a script idea that a friend of mine had years and years ago. About it's a big drug war kind of movie, kind of like Sicario, but yeah, kind of like that kind of a deal. And it's international and it's wild. So there's all kinds of good stuff like that. And then I'd like to, if I had all the money in the world, I'd go back and do the prequels over, and I'd star in them. And you know which prequels I'm talking about.
What prequels? The Star Wars?
What prequels could they be? They weren't that bad. I kid, but I should have been in them. That would have been. I would have. If I could be in any franchise, I would have liked to have had an action figure of myself, and who wouldn't, right?
Oh yeah.
It's never too late. You never know what might still come your way. I mean,
this is true. Yeah, talk to Kathleen Kennedy and see what's up with that one. But yeah, it's I'll tell you a funny story. In 1999, I actually wrote to Lucasfilm and set them my head shut because I had heard there's going to be some movies coming. And I got a letter back on Lucas film letterhead from Anne Merriweather was her name, I believe, thanking me for my interest. They weren't ready to be casting yet, and good luck with your career. And it might have been, was it 97? Maybe I sent the first letter in 97, the second one in 99, just trying to get in. And she responded again and said, thanks again. And this is the casting director. And it was Janet Hershenson, I think. Anyway, but yeah, I actually got a response from George Lucas's office begging to be in a Star Wars movie. So,
wow.
You know, at least I could put that in the frame, if nothing else, right?
Yeah, it's pretty.
That's true. That is pretty slick, though.
At least they responded.
It was very
right?
kind of them to respond. Yeah, it was very kind of them to respond. I think I had like 3 credits to my name at the time.
So the other thing I kind of am wondering, and I'll go back to Tim Lovelace again. We've talked about some movie ideas in the cryptid area that need to have a really good one done. What supernatural cryptid kind of thing what do you think begs to have a really good movie made about it that you would feel like you could nail apart in that kind of movie?
Oh, I would still like to go back and do another werewolf film, and I'll tell you what, the producer who owns the property outright with Lee Scott, the writer, it's up to them if we were going to go ahead. And about 5 years ago, we actually started talking about doing Bray Road 2. And yeah, so we still all, I've loved werewolf movies. Like, they were number one from back in the day. So werewolves are where it's at for me. If I had my choice, if they said you got to do a genre film, it's horror, what are you going to do? I'd say you can keep your zombies. Everybody has enough of them. Give me Wolfie, please. That's where it should be.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
Now Tim and I have discussed that no one's really made a really good Bigfoot movie. So
this is true.
Mm-hmm.
So and living out there in California, do you get to go out and explore Bigfoot country at all out there, or not?
I haven't been up north, and the only things I've heard about, I think it was on Snap Judgment, on that podcast. The only thing down south is there are some spirits that are along the border, and it's said that these spirits will hunt the human traffickers who sometimes lead the people out there and leave them alone and turn around and go back down south. So some of these bandits who take the money from these people trying to sneak into the country, whatever, they'll end up like getting tossed off a cliff or something by these big scary entities. So that's down south. And there was a podcast about that. I forget what that was. Yeah. And they said that there was a heat signature that they saw on, that they could see with their night vision, but there was nothing there. And so there's something down south that's kind of scary that's happening down there that I'd like to investigate more. And then up north, I haven't been up north to see any Bigfoot yet, so I haven't seen the Squatch, and I'd like to.
Whew. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, look, the next time you're back in Ohio, I think we know some people that could take us to some areas that you might have a better chance of seeing a Sasquatch. I don't think I'm going to see one at the 99-cent store out here. It's probably not going to happen. Nothing's happening at the strip mall. Nothing happens at the strip mall. Oh, geez. Well, we really enjoyed having you on the podcast tonight. I mean,
absolutely.
This was a lot of fun.
Yes.
I've been telling these guys, I said, man, I can't wait to have you on, because everything the stuff that I've seen, I love. Chris talks great about you. Tim, he's always said good things about you. I agree that I think you're way underrated as an actor, obviously, because everything that you've done, you've really stand out. And I mean, it's a 100%.
You're very kind.
100%. I love it.
I appreciate it. I'm not doing this for a laugh. I actually kind of take it serious, even though some of the stuff I do is a little ridiculous, But I do try and put an honest effort forth.
And you always star in the kind of movies that I like, so that's a big plus.
Well, there you go, man. Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate that because I'm having fun making them for sure.
Great.
So give before we sign off, give our listeners a top 3 Tom Downey movies that if they loved hearing you talk about your experiences and career. What 3 movies would you urge them to go out, find, stream, watch, and check out that you're the most proud of or that you think they'll enjoy the most?
Well, I'm gonna say Sorority Party Massacre. If you want to see me get chased around by a bunch of pretty girls with murderous intent, that's a lot of fun. It was great. Unfortunately for Chris Hahn and I do love Axe Giant, but I'm dead in the first 20 minutes. Spoiler alert. But then you can enjoy Chris running around chasing people. That was a lot of fun. And,
yeah, but you get your money's worth in those first 20 minutes.
Yeah,
exactly. You sure do. Yeah. And I'll double down with the Jeff Millers. That was a Jeff Miller production as well. And I'll say you can check out the Burning Dead. But I'm lucky enough to have a poster in my room here. It's Tom Downey and Danny Trejo, The Burning Dead. So I got top billing over Danny Trejo. So that was pretty cool. So that's kind of a fun popcorn movie as well. Zombies. Yeah, good times.
All right. Yeah.
Check those out. And then also, don't forget to look for The Body Bot. And Dolls was also a hell of a good time. We did a great job with that film.
I've got that
Anything
on
with my name in it, I'll bet you kind of enjoy. Just a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, we saw it. I borrowed Shane's copy. And so I got a chance to watch it. Those little things were creepy. They were creepy.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. I'm glad you liked it. Glad you liked it.
Yeah.
Hey, well, it's been a lot. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun tonight talking to you. So we hope that things get cooking again out there, so you can make some more movies that we can all enjoy. And who knows? Maybe the next time we're able to throw together some money and maybe make a movie here in Ohio, we can get you back here in Ohio.
Be my pleasure, absolutely. And all y'all, stay safe, stay home when you can.
Yes.
Take care of yourselves and your families and your friends, and keep 6 feet away and wash your hands and all that good stuff, because this ain't no joke. But we're gonna get through it.
Oh yeah, we will.
Keep
6
feet away, or the 6 feet you're going to be away from everybody is under. So just
exactly. That's a hell of a way to put it, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Feeling that. That's fantastic. Oh man.
So all right, Tom. It's been great, and urge everybody to go check out the top 5 movies now that Tom gave us before he signed off. So go check him out. Find him on his social media platforms. Tell him how great you think he is. You won't be sorry. You won't be sorry. So,
yeah.
So
and thank you, man. Thanks for having me. I know we tried to put this together for a while. I'm so glad it finally worked out. I just want to say thank you very much, gentlemen, for having me on. I appreciate all 3 of you.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on. We've been looking forward to it.
And the judge had to leave. He had an urgent appointment, but I laid off of him when you made the remark about the 500-pound woman coming and chasing. I thought maybe that was the judge's college movies got released or something. But,
one of them ex-girlfriends.
Oh no! They do come back to haunt you, don't they?
Yeah.
So on that note, now that everybody's going to have nightmares, we'll sign off. And thanks again, Tom. Have a good night and stay safe. And we'll be looking forward to catching up with you later on.
All right. Thank you, Shane. You guys be good.
Yeah, we'll do. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, a final word. please visit us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/From the Shadows Podcast, and on our Instagram page at instagram.com/From the Shadows Podcast. You can visit our webpage at fromtheshadowspodcast.godaddysites.com, or contribute to our Facebook discussion page called After the Shadows, and tweet us on our Twitter feed at twitter.com/podcast_from. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from you all. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.